United States Coast Guard Band. Please take this moment to locate the emergency exit nearest you. As a reminder, we ask that you please put away all electronic devices. Food and drink are not permitted in the auditorium. The world-class musicians on stage are proud to honor the heritage, traditions, and history of our nation through music. Thank you for joining us, and enjoy the performance.
My name is musician first class Sean Murray, and I would like to again welcome you to Leamy Hall and to the 99th year of your United States Coast Guard Band. As we begin our 99th year, we're looking forward to our centennial next year, so we thought it would be appropriate to start this year by looking all the way back to the origins of our musician rating. Commander will often ask us,
Gentlemen, how about a round of applause for the musicians who created the video: Ryan Foley, Sean Marie, Matt Millmiller, Dave West, Ian Dobie, and Scott Turner. Really proud of the work that they did. And now the music from the video, Chester, as composed by and realized by William Schumann in 1956. This arrangement of Chester just so perfectly captures the spirit, the turmoil, and the triumph of the Revolutionary era. Here is William Schumann's Chester. Thank you so very much, ladies and gentlemen. It is now my distinct pleasure to introduce to you today's Coast Guard Band's guest of honor. He is the 9th District Coast Guard Commander of the 9th District, which oversees a very large area of the United States, the Great Lakes, the St. Lawrence Seaway, 1,500 miles of international borders, 8 states, over 6,000 Coast Guard women and men. Our former program manager, would you please welcome to the stage Rear Admiral John Hickey.
All right, good afternoon. Adam, thank you so much. So I'm going to try to be brief here because we all came to listen to the band, not me talk to you. But I did want to share a couple of thoughts for you. First, it is a wonderful honor and pleasure to be here with you today and to spend some time with our Coast Guard Band. A little bit about the Coast Guard Band. So, as you have witnessed here already today, the band consists of our best and brightest musicians in our nation. And we are just lucky that they decided to leave behind their roles in our nation's leading ensembles and orchestras to join the Coast Guard and help us advance our missions, connect with our people and the communities that we serve, and grow the rich legacy of the Coast Guard and the Coast Guard Band. And speaking of that rich legacy, a little bit more about the history of the Coast Guard Band here. The Coast Guard Band was started by none other than the March King, John Philip Sousa, right? Everybody knows that name. And the conductor of the New York Philharmonic, Mr. Walter Damrosch, as well as the director of the United States Navy's band, Charles Bentner. And that was started in 1925. We talked about 99 years. We're about to go on a 100-year anniversary here. And ever since, over the last 100 years, have been bringing wonderful music to Americans and people worldwide. And so the music produced by the Coast Guard Band is enjoyed and leveraged every single day across the entire Coast Guard, whether it be in ceremonies and celebrations. It is recognized, it is known, it is endeared by all of our coasties, right? But it is also performed across the globe. The band has performed in every single corner of the United States and also 5 continents: Europe, Asia, Africa, and the Americas. It's pretty impressive. And so, just like our Coast Guard missions, right, the people performing our Coast Guard missions are deployed globally, our Coast Guard Band has a global impact. And I just want to close by sharing 2 things that make this a particularly special occasion for me. First, I am joined by my mom, Sue Hickey. Sue, raise your hand, Mom. There you are, okay, in the crowd. Woo. We can give her a round of applause. It's so wonderful to be back at the Coast Guard Academy 34 years after that first day, almost 34 years, July 9th, 1990. You never forget that day. My mom and my dad and my grandmother dropped me off right here outside of Leamy Hall. And then I immediately was confronted with this dread of, oh my God, what have I done to myself? But here I stand 34 years later, and I wouldn't be here for not my mom and her influence over me and my dad. I know we lost my dad in May of last year. I know he'd love to be here today. He would have enjoyed this so much. So we're definitely thinking of Dad today. The second reason why this is so impactful to me is my personal connection with the Coast Guard Band. And I talked about it a little bit before the performance in the interview. But in 2020, I was assigned as the Director of Governmental and External Affairs. And part of the responsibilities was being the program manager of the band. And that's when I met Adam and got to know the Coast Guard Band and truly appreciate what a national asset it is in both accomplishing Coast Guard missions, building connections, and esprit de corps. And it was a tough time to connect with our people, right? It was the height of the pandemic, June 2020. Tough time to connect with our people and our communities, the American public we served. And Adam and the team kept coming up with great ideas on how to build those connections. And he pitched this idea as one of those host of ideas, right? This dream that Sean had, he was the first speaker today, of building this, developing this documentary series, this history of the military musician. And I was all in immediately, right? And it was just such a wonderful idea. And what a tremendous experience and honor it is to be here to see that dream go from just an innovation, little idea, to a wonderful reality coming to life here today in the first performance of the series. So thank you. I'm so grateful, Adam, that I am here today with the Coast Guard Band, the mighty Coast Guard Band. You guys are just so impressive. Thank you all for being here today, and Semper Paratus.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. That was the Yorktown Centennial March by the March King John Philip Sousa. Up next for you, we have what is truly a masterpiece for band. Gustav Holst's Hammersmith certainly is going to find itself on most band aficionados' top 10 works for band lists. Holst is also celebrating his 150th anniversary since his birth this year in 2024. He wrote Hammersmith in 1930, though this work still remains a tour de force today and is quite a technical challenge even by today's standards. So, imagine, if you will, we are slowly floating down the River Thames. Just minding our own business, and we're approaching the Hammersmith district of London. The river theme you'll hear right from the start of this music will be presented in the tubas and the euphoniums and the horns. And as we get into the Hammersmith region, the city is just starting to wake up. We can hear some noise of the city just starting to percolate, but it explodes into the full forces of the cacophony of a city fairly quickly. The traffic, the insane traffic. Oh, the noise. I guess we're just through the Christmas season, right? Grinch fans? No? Okay. So the traffic is in full swing. The sound of the businesses, it's all interrupted by the rowdy crowds who punctuate the sound with some raucous rejoicing of the celebrating the day's events. We're just this onslaught of the city sounds. In the meantime, we're still floating down the river. Soon enough, though, we put the city behind us, though we can still hear some faint sounds of the city off in the distance as we continue to roll down the river. Here is Hammersmith. All right, we made it. Whew. That, it's funny because, you know, soft and slow music, as this one begins and ends with that, it can be deceptively simple, but it's just some of the most challenging music that exists. So, just a beautiful performance by the members of the Coast Guard Band of some just exquisitely challenging music. And now for a pretty stark change of pace, we're going to feature a couple of vocal selections, 3 Victorian-era folk tunes that have been arranged by the Coast Guard Band's trombonist and arranger, chief musician Sean Nelson, and they are going to be performed, sung by the Coast Guard Band's amazingly talented vocal soloist. Musician first class, Alison Landstedt earned her undergraduate degree in music from Carnegie Mellon University, her master's degree from the Cincinnati Conservatory of Music, and is completing her doctorate from the University of British Columbia. So to perform Sean Nelson's arrangement of Victorian ballads, would you please welcome to the stage our exquisitely talented soloist, musician first class, Alison Landstedt.
I long to
over, and neither have I wings to fly. Give me a boat that can carry two, and both shall row, my love and I. There is a ship, she sails the sea. She's loaded deep as deep can be, but not as deep as the love I'm in. I know not how I sink or swim. Give me a boat that can carry two, and both shall row, my love and I. And both shall row, my love and I.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. How about another round of applause for musician first class Allison Benstead. Well, we are going to bring the concert full circle now back to the Revolutionary era, though perhaps with a kind of modern twist on it. The 2002 movie, The Patriot, the music was scored by John Williams, who is one of, if not perhaps the most successful film composer that the world has ever seen. We all know his music, I'm quite sure. Star Wars, Superman, Indiana Jones, Schindler's List, Saving Private Ryan, Harry Potter, the NBC Nightly News, the Olympics, and that list goes on and on and on. In just a few short weeks, I believe he's going to be celebrating his 91st birthday. So he wrote the music to The Patriot, which this music is very clearly in that John Williams musical language that we all know, but he brings into the fold some of those Revolutionary era musical components, including some fife and drum work. And while the music is just stunningly fantastic, I personally can't make that same claim about the movie itself, and I believe that Roger Ebert agreed with me pretty well. So some fans of the Patriot movie and from the band, I think. But I digress. I believe that, I don't have the quote, I'm sorry to say I don't have Ebert's quote, but it was something about questioning the historical accuracy of the movie itself. But anyway, I digress. We got some fantastic John Williams music out of this movie, and we're going to play that for you right now. Here is John Williams, The Patriot. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And we are just about to wrap up our concert here. We have one more selection, I'm sorry to say, because this has been an absolute joy to perform this concert for you today. Fortunately, you get to hear the Coast Guard Band just about any time you want to on social media. You can find us on Facebook, you can find us on Instagram, and you can find us on YouTube, where we live stream all of our concerts. So if you have friends or family that are not geographically close, you can point them to our YouTube page and they can watch the live streams of these concerts. We also have a website, because it's not 2002 anymore when The Patriot came out. And while you're browsing around our website, be sure to sign up for our constant contact email distribution list so you can receive occasional email reminders for upcoming Coast Guard Band activity. We promise we won't flood your inboxes. We'll just send you a note every now and then just saying, hey, Coast Guard Band, cool event coming up, you should come. A little bit more housekeeping. The back gate at Deschamps Street will be open for your Coast Guard Academy exiting pleasure. And our next concert will be February 21st. It will feature Chief Warrant Officer Jeff Spenner, and the concert will be filled with folk-inspired music. And let's see, the Coast Guard Band is going on our national tour this year in June and July, so I understand that we have several engagements booked in Arkansas, and I believe that we're going through some of Illinois and Indiana and Nebraska, so if you have friends or family in that region of the country, be sure to direct them to our webpage to find out more details. And with that, we now bring you the conclusion of our concert. We're going to perform a medley of the Armed Forces service songs. So, if you or a loved one has ever served in the military, we ask that you rise and be acknowledged when you hear your service's song played as we close our concert today with the Armed Forces medley.
Coast Guard 34 years. There's never been a more exciting time to be in the Coast Guard. Full stop. Never been a more exciting time to be in the Coast Guard in the 34 years that I've known it. Across the board, demand for Coast Guard missions are up. Across the board, our relevance is up to our national security and our economic prosperity and our safety and security as a nation, right? And don't just take my word for it. Recreational boating is up across the board post-pandemic. More demand for search and rescue. Again, I talked about the reliance on the maritime transportation system. Everybody, the nation in the world values that, understands it even more. But there's also all these changes happening in the maritime transportation system, right? More offshore wind, more space exploration. That space exploration starts and ends in the ocean. More underwater exploration for precious minerals, precious metals. More autonomous vehicle activity. That's a tough one, right? How do you regulate that? How do you make sure that that's safe, right? So the Coast Guard mission expands there. That's close to home. Now, try to cross the globe with me for a second, right? The Arctic. You can't go a day in the news cycle without hearing something about the Arctic. We just made an extended outer continental shelf claim in the Arctic. What's going to project sovereignty in the Arctic for the United States of America? U.S. Coast Guard through our Polar Security Cutter acquisition. Look at the Indo-Pacific. Right? We know the relevance, the importance of that from a global security perspective with what China's doing in the South China Sea and the East China Sea. We are all about a free and open and prosperous Indo-Pacific. The way to do that is not only, you can't just send Navy ships out there, right? Those are somewhat threatening. You got to send Coast Guard assets out there to enforce international rules-based order, and that's what we're doing. The White House has an Indo-Pacific